All right. And we are live and back with Massive Nyarlathotep. This is episode many. I'm not even going to look it up. We have finally departed England and are moving on to Egypt. So everyone's here, and so there is a little bit of between location bookkeeping to do. So first, I'd like to start off with the aftermath of England. I'm going to do something a little different this time. I think it will be a little more interesting than this is about sanity changes. You might recall after you left America, there were some rewards and or penalties to your sanity based on stuff. And instead of it being a little arbitrary, I thought it'd be more applicable to have you sort of evaluate your own character's mental state based on some questions I came up with. So we'll look at each one in turn, and you can state whether you strongly agree with the statement, whether you somewhat agree or disagree with the statement. And that will typically have a bonus or penalty to sanity as a result. So, and I know I can trust you guys to be fair. You might even be too hard on yourself. So I would encourage you to try to be, a thoughtful assessment, not just, all doom and gloom necessarily. Because I know you guys like to punish yourselves. So, is everybody hearing me?
Yep.
Okay, all right. I didn't hear a peep, so I was like, hey, am I talking to the air? All right.
We're wrapped.
So first question, statement, I feel that we left the situation in England better than how we found it. So, do you strongly agree, somewhat agree, or disagree with that? And it's individual. This is not necessarily the same for each of you. This is really how your character would feel about it. So, anyone that has a
I would say disagree, except that her reason is covered in number 3.
Okay.
So I would say maybe somewhat agree. Like, overall, just in a general way, it's kind of...
Yeah, middle.
A wash.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit better because people are a little weak.
Yep, that's fair. That's what I'm asking for, is how you feel. Do you feel like that you left things better or worse? And that's kind of a statement of some good, some bad, probably not much better, but not much worse either.
Thaddeus would disagree. We left it better when we found it, just like New York. He thinks that they only made things worse because nothing ever got accomplished. No investigations, nothing.
Nothing.
No one's ever going to know about all this because it's going to keep happening.
All right.
I somewhat agree that we let the situation better just because we were able to get hopefully the IRA involved. And at least let them know about it and where Gavigan is and that sort of thing. That's really the only thing. Maybe cause more turmoil kind of between the two groups and weaken Gavigan.
Right, that's what I was thinking.
Yep.
Yeah. That's the only thing that I can think of. And I mean, he lost one of his really important men, too. And his stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, we just replaced one cult group with another.
It's true, and that's just what's going to happen. But I don't know.
The numbers will be smaller overall, just in terms of numbers.
For now, at least.
Right.
But I just think that we left it at least somewhat better.
Okay. So as a result, Natalia and Shelley, there should be no change to your sanity. That's sort of a middle. Thaddeus, it's a die 3 off. So just roll a die 6. You know how to do. Right. Is there actually a die 3? I don't know.
I think
We
you
can just roll
it.
and just right.
Yeah.
There you go. That's only one. Not too bad. Yay. All right, second, I feel that overall we left England better equipped to push our investigation forward to a successful conclusion. So this is not just how the situation in England, this is more about the bigger picture. Like, do you feel you have significantly learned things that will help you now? Do you feel better? Equipped might not even be the right word, but you feel better off about your ability now to handle whatever is ahead of you.
I would say Shelley does. I'm not saying that she's feeling optimistic in general, but she does know so much more than she did in the past. And they have a good lead for Egypt, and they've got some magic. Like, she's learning to do some cool magic. So I think for her, that's an agree.
Okay. I can agree with that.
Honestly, after everything that we've learned in England, I gotta say, in comparison, even though there's a lot of stuff that went on, what's it bouncing?
Oh,
I
it's
just keep hearing
slip.
Slip. Shelly's
with
playing
kids.
something.
What?
Ping
I
pong
just hear
balls.
bouncing.
Oh, that's weird. I don't know. Maybe my keyboard got stuck.
Okay.
It did sound like
Okay.
it did sound like you're playing beer pong or something over there.
Bluetooth
Oh,
interference.
Yeah.
What the fuck is going on?
Touch your dick.
But after like learning everything from Alice and just everything we learned about like the Black Pharaoh and just the groups that they're connected and they're aware of each other, I would say we strongly agree.
Okay.
Like I think we've really got a lot of information to keep going, and I think just being aware of like some of the crazy stuff that goes on. I mean, magic for one. We didn't know about this before. And I think that's really big. So, yeah.
Okay. Thaddeus.
Thaddeus would somewhat agree because like we don't know, we never learned anything about any of the players there in Egypt. Like when we left, like we Thaddeus knew about somewhat of the magic from the books that we had. So it's not like he sees it as a big boon. Like it's an improvement, and he's still not like totally knowing like what is the deal is with the magic, right? Because he wasn't there or nothing.
Yep.
So, but we learned a lot about Egypt, but we didn't learn a lot about like who's operating there.
Okay. Fair enough. So, Natalia and Shelley, you can both gain a die 8 because this is a big one. I think this is the most important thing, is that you feel like you have made progress overall. Thaddeus, for you with a somewhat agree, it's going to be plus a die 2. Sticking with the low numbers.
That's how I roll unless they count.
Okay. Next, I feel guilty about leaving certain innocents dead or ruined as a result of our actions or inaction. So this is the personal toll on the people you've met and left behind there. How realistic? How deeply does that affect your character?
That strongly agree for Shelley. She feels very guilty about Habiba and Kafiri. Like that's gonna haunt her.
Mm-hmm.
She feels somewhat guilty about Alan, but just the kid factor.
Yeah. Yes. I expected that from Shelley. Yes.
Thaddeus would disagree. He didn't really have like any connections there with strongly. He course, you feel a little bad for Alan and stuff, but after Frank and everything, like he warns people.
Yeah.
You know, hey, you come with us, you're dead, man. You know, chances are.
That actually, yeah, I think that kind of fits with Thaddeus's almost fatalistic outlook. It's like, hey, people are gonna die. We knew that, right?
You know, you can only say it so many times, and
Yeah.
people still want to cling on to it.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd say Natalia, she strongly agreed, not just because of Habiba and Kafiri, though on the boat here, she said, like, she wasn't going to try and protect anybody else. A lot of it happened because she decided to try and protect those two. Of course, yeah, she's torn up about Alan, like, utterly and completely, like, thinks about it pretty much every moment. Even Alice, too, doesn't know what's going to happen to her now that she's got involved, or maybe even Philip Greenwald, if they even spotted him.
Yeah. Yep.
So there's a lot that, but mostly she's thinking about Alan and just leaving him on that farm.
In upstate New York.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's happy and he's got plenty of room,
It's
room
sad.
to run free and roam around and forget what he was doing 5 minutes ago.
Oh.
Yes.
That's why you gotta hit the booze.
Yep, she is.
Okay. Well, Thaddeus, there'd be no change for you then, because you're pretty shielded from all of that emotion stuff. But Natalia and Shelley, that's a die 8, because that's a personal thing. Oh.
Less than I would have thought for Shelley, but maybe
Yeah.
the whole Gavigan thing is overshadowing it.
Well, I mean, maybe this is. It bothers her, but I also see Shelley maybe bounce. It bothers her, but she wants vengeance, or maybe not even vengeance, but just it might give her more backbone, more. I don't know. I mean,
yeah, she's
it's
got a really strong will, and it might just drive her more. I'd say that's one of her defining characteristics is she's got a lot of move forward drive.
Yeah. So maybe tries to shove it to the side more. Maybe one day, if all this is over, it will hit her harder. But for now, yeah, that's interesting. And Natalia, yeah.
Yeah. She's constantly broken up about it at this point.
Yeah. All right, and you see your characters are there. By the way, you can make these adjustments yourself. Although, I mean, you could wait to the end if you want to tally it all up, but that's up to you.
That's what I'm doing.
Number 4, the fact that Gavigan is most likely still alive deeply troubles me and occupies my thoughts an unhealthy amount.
Obviously, for Shelley, that's huge. So I would even, whatever you roll, you might do a +1, because I just think from a role play perspective,
Yeah,
like
this is-
that is something that she is really trying not to think about, but probably can't help. Just it's lots of trauma and lots of fear, knowing that if he ever catches up with her, he's gonna have a lot of very specific torture planned.
Yes, it's very personal at this point. That would be clear. Yep. Natalia and Thaddeus?
I think for Natalia, that's a hard one. I mean, of course, she wants Gavigan dead. He was a big part about why Habiba and Kafiri died. But in terms of kind of occupying her thought, she's angry about it for sure. But it's not something that's plaguing her at this point. So I'd say disagree.
Okay.
Yeah, she's more concerned about other things than Gavigan being alive. I mean, there's people who are still alive back in New York who probably should have died. That entire, cult in the basement, they're still there.
Okay. Fair enough.
Thaddeus would disagree with the same sense. This to him, this is extension of New York. Like, not finishing the job in New York is always going to haunt him through the rest of the journey. You know, Gavingan's just an extension of that.
Yep.
I mean, like you know, Talia would be, yeah, it kind of angry that they didn't kill him. You know, Thaddeus wanted to kill both leaders of the cult. You know, get rid of both of them, and neither one of them got accomplished. But then again, like New York is still there, being a festering hive. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so to him, it's Gavigan itself is just another cog in that wheel. So it's not really like a huge deal to him that it's still alive.
Okay. Fair enough. Shelly, instead of giving you a +1, it's going to be a die 4. Why don't we just make it a 4 if it's
Yeah, that makes sense.
just
to me.
give you the max
Yeah.
because it is, yeah.
Okay. So that's a total of 1 off. No, 3, 2 off for me.
Yeah, not too bad in the totality. And finally, each of you had like one statement that kind of summarizes your overall state of mind as you depart from England, and that will be anywhere from a minus die 4 to a plus die 4, depending on just the overall state of mind. So this is a kind of personal, you know, all in total, if you can do that. You know.
Thaddeus' state of mind as they depart, he's tired, having just spent the time in the hospital. He's angry because he's leaving it. You know, we're not leaving. You know, on terms that are acceptable to him. We're leaving it just like New York. Everything,
Mm-hmm.
every problem that they had is still there. Um, I would say he's a little more focused because he maybe hopes a little bit that getting to Egypt will start solving some of the problems that they do have. Um, but again, he doesn't foresee like the big picture yet. Like he doesn't foresee the overall. You know, right now, like it's still New York. Everything's still New York to him. Like
Mm-hmm.
you know, they're still trying to reach out to kill them. You know, there's no like, you know, it's a big organization. He has a theory that's a big organization, but he still, you know, he still thinks it's all New York. So I would say he's a little focused, more angry, but definitely weary.
That sounds like a kind of middle of the road thing then, so maybe no change. Right? Or what do you think?
You know, see that I'll just leave it up to you because that one would be hard for me to judge.
Yeah. Um yeah, the more focused argues for maybe a small plus. But the weary part, you know, that's what kind of drags that down again to me, is that you feel like you're more focused, but you're also getting, you can feel the weight of this, and the lack of progress in your mind, I think. But so maybe a +1. Let's call it a +1.
That's your final answer.
Final answer.
This is Natalia. She came to England with a more, I guess, curious and fatalistic look, in hopes to actively seek out whatever was reaching out to her. Now leaving England, she does regret of thinking that in the first place. Almost thinking about abandoning her daughter, both kind of in the basements of New York and even in England. As I'd say she's one of her biggest motivations to keep going is to maybe find something to help Alan, but it's proof that there's at least some sort of magics. There must be something to help him, but she can see kind of this trail of destruction that she and in a way her compatriots have left, nothing quite good coming out of anything they're doing. And especially leaving the one leader, the woman, leaving her behind, knowing that because they didn't do anything for her, they just messed everything up. She's going after their families now.
Mm-hmm.
So she might be going after her daughter. She knows the only way to go home, maybe, is to figure out what's going on, if she can stop it. The only way to see her, if she's ever going to see her daughter again. So there's a lot of worry, a lot of fear in Natalia, but she can't help but press on at this point. There's no turning back.
Okay, I would call that maybe plus a die 2. It's a little bit like you're a little more driven to keep going. So if that sounds right, that works for me.
I'd say so. Like, she's scared, but I think the motivation to try and figure things out in order to maybe save her daughter and, in a way, save Alan, at least,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really driving her forward.
Okay. Yeah, because this is more of a, are you falling into more of a despairing outlook and feeling like things are likely not to go well, or is it more of a we have to keep going, something can come out of this, and a stronger determination, I think, is a big, and that sounds like you're a little more determined. So
She is.
And Shelley?
Shelley is absolutely anguished over thinking about Habiba and Kafiri, and just every time the thought of Gavigan brushes her mind, it makes her want to puke.
Mm-hmm.
So there's definitely some negative stuff going on, and she's trying to hide it because she feels like she doesn't deserve to be the one who's suffering, since Natalia, what happened to Alan, and she feels very guilty about not really what happened to Alan, but Natalia, and Natalia's loss. But I think her response to that is that she would just push headlong into research, into projects, into, finding out what's Egypt like, what should we expect, what can we find out about that, and most importantly, the magical artifacts that they have. I think that despite all the horror and bad stuff that's been happening, with a mind like hers, she's just drawn like a moth to the flame when she encounters these phenomena she can't explain. And now that she's experienced something that she doesn't want to think of as magic, but is something phenomenal, that she can't explain, I would say she is borderline obsessed with learning all she can about it.
And does she still look at these phenomena as scientific and physical and rational, or is she beginning to fear or suspect that it's something that science really can't explain and that defies kind of the ordered, view, the scientific ordered view of reality?
Well, it seems to follow a process, and that's what she tells herself, but she has brushed up against that otherness and that horrible feeling that comes from the brushing up against that otherness. So I would say she is somewhere in limbo there. Like she thinks it can be mastered and understood.
Okay.
But she doesn't necessarily believe that this is science in the traditional sense.
Yeah. Okay, well, I think I'm going to interpret that as a flat 0. And it's something like there are insects crawling under the rock, but you haven't turned the rock up yet.
Yeah.
Right? There's a lot of doubts and disturbing things that you have sort of stuffed down. But those could come out at some point. But for now, it's not. You're managing to keep it from occupying yourself too terribly much.
Right, and I think all the negative stuff she's feeling is kind of balanced out by her response to just focus on work.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I can see that. You're holding it together for now. And losing yourself in your work, focusing, except for the Habiba and Kafiri and Gavigan angle. You're pushing forward. Okay, that all makes sense to me. So if you haven't yet, you can, make your adjustments, and then we will move on to your advancement. There is a downtime as you travel on the Orient Express across Europe and eventually take ship in Constantinople, or if you wanted to go down through Italy, take ship from Italy over to Port Said. That's up to you. Either way, it's mostly trip by rail, and then you take a fairly brief boat trip across the Mediterranean. But you have two. We've got first to do your checks for improvement. If you recall how to do that, it has been a while. You basically just make a skill check. Any skills that you checked off. First of all, make sure that all the skills you succeeded at using are checked off, and if you identify ones you did, go ahead and check those off first. Then go through one by one, make a standard skill check for it. If you fail the check, that's good, because that means you have still much to learn, and so you will get to improve that by a die 10. If you succeed, if you get any level of success for the check, then it didn't really benefit you much. You already kind of knew whatever helped you succeed in that case. You didn't really learn anything new. So you guys can go ahead and do that.
Can Shelley apply Learn Spell to practicing with rods?
Yes. We'll get to the downtime activities next. This first thing is just doing checking your skills for improvement. Then you'll actually have downtime activities.
Okay, so all right. So anything with a check mark we can.
Yes. And again, remember, those are any skills that you successfully used during your time in England. And again, you want to fail or fumble. Fumble works fine too.
Hooray!
Hooray! And any failures are a die 10 bonus.
I'm gonna start rolling great now.
Yeah, Natalia, extreme brawling.
I would be so happy.
Oh shoot! Yes. Oh my gosh, that'd be amazing, wouldn't it?
Oh, I did the wrong one.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, jeez, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah. You have learned
Yay.
nothing!
Hey, I got better at my mechanical repair.
Nice.
Hard to fail that one.
Fuck me.
Psychology.
Oh,
Make money.
Thaddeus. Yes, it's your infamous luck, man.
Yay, I get to climb better.
All right.
Mm.
Hey, better at physics too.
Wow.
Oh, I'm not better at English. Aw.
Your English just as bad as always.
Ah. Привет. All right, that's all for me.
And then you can uncheck everything. Reset for the next time.
God damn it.
Man,
Oh, no gun improvement. You should be able to improve your lie in hospital bed skill.
Yeah, if that was a thing.
You got really good at that.
I get the bed sores to prove it.
He learned to listen. Yeah, what else are you going to do while you're lying there?
I have 2 women around you.
Yeah, can't tune them out all the time.
No, but you can try.
Too bad, Dad.
Oh, not persuasive either. I think it makes sense that Thaddeus got better at listening and spot hidden. Not by much.
Marginal.
Mid.
But yeah, it's like you had plenty of time to... That's not bad.
Okay, these are the only rolls I'm gonna have like successful ever.
All right, is that it? Still a little more?
I don't think we used shotgun.
I think I just sucked at shooting.
All right, I got all mine updated.
Okay, everyone updated now?
Is there a drinking improvement?
You don't need that. You're already topped out, man.
99.
Yeah. All right, now you can choose 2 downtime activities. And I have forgotten to advance you on your book research, which should have been happening steadily, especially Thaddeus lying in hospital bed. I guess, he didn't have anything there, did he?
He had no books.
Yeah.
No books.
But you have had some time, I know, since the last, so I'm going to give you some advancement there anyway. But you can choose any 2 of these things. They do have to be different. Shelley, each of you can choose any 2, but you can't choose the same one twice. Learning a spell, yes, Shelley, that could be used to basically practice with the rods and try to figure out, how they're gonna work for you. Yeah, definitely that will work.
All right, I'll do that, and then I'll check off 3 more skills.
Okay, and then you can make checks for them once you do that. So we'll say you drove part of the you got off the Orient Express and drove cross country a little bit, because these are all things that you sort of do during the journey. You have an opportunity to practice them somehow, but I could see that. Even skeet shooting off the back of the train.
So if I chose rest, would that include kind of that chest wound that she has?
Yes.
Okay, I'm probably gonna do that.
Can't- I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I would say, yeah, just that, and I'll do, so she'll rest up a bit, basically lying in bed, and she's gonna read that manuscript that she has as well. And also
Okay.
ringing phone.
Oh, shoot. All right, hold on.
I'm looking at the skills I'm gonna roll for. Could we take like a 1d10 in like learning base Arabic, just like from a book or?
Wait.
What's language?
Yeah, you want to learn a language. Yeah, that's definitely a way to do it. If it's a new language you have no skill in, then you can't fail, and you'll you can't succeed, so you'll get a die 10 automatically. So yeah, if you want to check off, what language do you want to learn?
Arabic.
Arabic. Okay, yeah, just give yourself a die 10, add a new skill, and just do language Arabic.
That's kind of a good idea, right?
And we might all take it. We can maybe pick up a word here or there that's important.
You guys can take it.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm focused on and improving my weak spots of shooting people. And of course, the occult.
Though it isn't a downtime, I think in regards to psychotherapy, or at least psychoanalysis and all that stuff, I think I'm able to at least help with some insanity stuff just by talking to these two.
Mm-hmm.
If they want to talk.
So that would be, they would choose therapy as an activity, and then you're available for that. So, but they don't have indefinite insanity.
True, not yet.
So yeah, but you could. That's definitely something that could happen between, when you're traveling. You could do that if necessary. All right, so so we know what Shelley's doing. Natalia's resting and doing what?
She's studying the manuscript.
Which one?
The narcotic.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah, we'll have to take care of that. Manuscripts. All right, and Thaddeus. Yeah, I don't. Let me check. I will check that for you. You are reading the Sélection des livres. Let's see.
I got some listed, but I'm not sure like what exactly that would do. Like it doesn't tell me one way or another.
Yeah. Alright, I'm trying to remember where I put your progress. I thought it was going to be right in here. Huh. I must have switched how I was doing that. Where do you have notes for that?
down at the bottom there. Let me see if I can find her.
Yeah, I think I started doing it a different way because I'm not putting it directly in there now.
Is it in private? Under general and there's private. That's what
It
mine is.
might be.
With the passports and all that.
Yeah, that's what I did. Okay, and this was only for Thaddeus, right? So the answer is yes. Those. So to your question, yes, those two things. And then there's still more. But let's see what your progress would be on these. Let's go to the calendar. Your next advance was going to happen on the 12th of February. And we ended on the 23rd. So you actually would have 2 advances.
Ooh.
And let's see what you get. Okay, that works. And nope, you already have that one. I'm basically just giving you random bits from it that you pull out of 12 possible things. Okay, so I will add.
No, those learn. That's already there. Those learn.
No, you just know that they are things you could. You have to practice those things.
I'll do that.
So let's see. That is. Okay, I'm gonna. In fact, you learn of the existence of 3 more. I will have to give you some more details on those.
That's fine. And then I'm gonna put down what exactly I'm doing.
Okay.
Here you go. And then I used practice check. I did the practices the other part of my downtime.
Hey,
All right.
got it.
I will fill in more details about these things. So you are doing. Okay. So I got your message, and then you're doing some training, all of which succeeded. Wow.
Yeah.
Focus. Okay, so yes, you will learn that. So we will add that to your character. You now know how to do that, and I'll make sure I add more details.
Oh,
about
no.
this.
Are you actually? You're not rolling 1d10, dude. You're rolling one.
Ooh.
So you have to like.
God.
Yeah. So reroll those. Don't put a space between the 1 and the d10.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
Jesus.
You
Oh
failure.
man, that would be terrible.
Hey.
Yeah, we'll do that in order.
Yeah.
So
That's pretty good.
I was like quite upset there for a minute.
That would have been really funny. 1.
Fits.
Yeah. Poor Thad. He's lucky to still be alive.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
So
you're still
is-
injured.
that's
That
all,
means.
yeah.
Yeah. her hair's finally grown back. That slightly bald spot from the burn.
Okay, so I think that's everything. So Shelley, let's just say for now, I'll talk to you privately a little bit, as well as Thaddeus, about the things that you were doing another time. But Shelley, suffice it to say, you, over the course of the trip, you feel like you actually don't necessarily understand these things, but you feel like you have gotten a sense for their rhythm. Is probably the best way to describe it. You learn that the energy that you can derive from it is something that naturally, as far as you can tell, regenerates like a self-regenerating battery somehow. And that if you leave it for a bit, you can come back and drain it again. And you're getting a sense for, you know, what the only thing you know how to do though is the protection thing that he taught you.
Right.
So you just have to keep doing that again and again. Like that's your only method of experimentation. So that's kind of how you learn, and you can feel that when you have drained it, you can feel your own self start to weaken. And so you've kind of gotten the hang of telling when that's happening and kind of putting a stop to the process.
Cool. So she doesn't know how the machine works, but she knows
Right.
which buttons to push to make it work.
Exactly. Yes. You can analyze them, and I'm sure you do, but you see no device, no power source, no anything that you can discern unless you're willing to like break it apart.
No, she doesn't do that. What
Yeah.
she would do is write a letter to
Tesla again.
and ask him to try to reach her at the embassy in Egypt.
In Cairo.
Like,
Okay. Okay. That makes sense. Yeah, he really doesn't know how to contact you if he is trying. So that would be good. You can do that. Okay. All makes sense. Okay, well, I think we've taken care of all of the bookkeeping. And, oh, I forgot to put you on there. You, the majority of your journey, as I said, is by way of the Orient Express, since you're going by land. Would you have preferred to go down through Italy or to Constantinople through the Balkans?
Let's go through the Balkans.
Yeah. Why
The
not?
Balkans. Okay. Much more rugged terrain, but from the train, it's just all loveliness. Of course, you're getting first class service, thanks to Thaddeus. So everything is quite pleasant. Not that there are very many non-first class people on this train, but it is a pleasant way to recover. Once you're in Constantinople, though, you do have to take ship. And you discover, probably to your maybe disappointment or dismay even, Thaddeus, there really aren't any non-privately owned luxury ships to get you there. you kind of have to get on board a rusty old sad excuse for a passenger ship to cross.
Yeah, I guess that'll work.
Yeah, it's not the comfort you're used to, but okay. I gotta call a very quick break, quick little intermission, and then we'll get you to Egypt.
I'll be back.
Okay. All right, I am back.
I'm here. I don't know if Matt's here or Sim.
Mm-hmm. I hear Sim. Maddie.
Sim should contact his lawyer and see if they've got any leads on private security in Europe or in Egypt.
Someone that you might be able to hire.
Yeah, supposed to answer the question. Once the word goes out, might get somebody we don't want as our private security.
That's true.
Like Frank came before all this, so Frank was safe. Now Frank's dead.
Thaddeus didn't fight in the war, did he?
Fairest fight no war.
You're adorable.
Take that in.
Yes. Yes, yes. Frontline infantry, Thaddeus. Yeah.
Stand proud.
Mm-hmm. He might have organized some war bonds or something, you know.
Well, yeah, every good rich
He
American
did his part. Held a fundraiser or something.
Yeah, I think there's still a thing of paying people to take your stead, right?
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Wasn't that a thing?
Yep. I think it still was around. It was certainly a thing for many decades. I don't know if it was still around in the 20s, but I would not be surprised if it was. I certainly don't know of any wealthy American that, you know, had to fight that didn't want to. And I don't even think there was a draft in World War I for the Americans. I think it was all volunteers.
Yeah, I think so as well.
I don't think we got to that point. Trump did, yes. Oh, he did his part all right.
Oh,
He should have got that medal. Gotta get that medal. Yeah, so. Yeah, Thaddeus probably organized bonds. Oh, you should recover all your lost hit points, by the way, Thaddeus. You've had plenty of time to
Plenty of R&R.
plenty of R&R. You had more than you know what to do with. All right, so you
There was a draft.
you cross over the Mediterranean and arrive at Port Said, which is just up the Nile from Cairo, and it is a very busy, you might even say dirty port. Like it's just, it is clogged with ships, mostly small fishing vessels and skiffs and things like that, with a smattering of larger transport ships, trading ships. And as you disembark, there's just a ton of people about, and you're immediately swarmed by people asking for money. There's multiple people offering to take you to various hotels.
Do we know, I mean, can we say that we kind of asked around and found out what a reputable hotel was before we got here?
Sure. The reputable hotel, the most famous hotel for Westerners would be the Shepherd's Hotel. Not shepherd as in like sheep shepherd, but shepherd as a name. That's rather, I mean, you probably have actually even heard of it, Thaddeus, even back in the States. It's kind of world famous.
Perfect.
Or we could go to the American Embassy and get leads from there.
Let's say go to a hotel.
Yeah, get situated first.
Natalia would help push past a lot of these people and try to listen in for maybe someone offering to take people to the ship.
Okay.
Shelley tries to use what little smattering of Arabic she's learned. But with all the little beggar kids asking for coins, her heart's smitten again with thoughts of Kafiri.
Yeah. Hotel, I take you hotel. You know, there's lots of kids coming up and even trying to just grab your bags. And at first you think they're trying to rob you, and then you're not sure if they're robbing you or just trying to, you know, like people come up and do your windshield for you. You know, here, I'll take your bags. So I would like each of you to try a strength check.
Ooh.
Extreme.
Smacking the people.
Oh yeah, right. So Natalia, you with your you're not messing around. So some kid tries to grab your suitcase. What do you do?
So as a kid comes up and attempts to pull Natalia's suitcase away, she just grabs him by the scruff of the neck and bends down to look at him. Don't touch my things. She very aggressively pushes him back into the crowd.
Okay, yeah, that scares him and actually scares the other kids that are trying to do the same. And when you see another kid grabbing for Shelley's bag, you actually are quick enough to grab him and do the same. Like you can, and Thaddeus, you're just not used to this kind of unorthodox invasion of your rich space. So you see Natalia, you see Thaddeus sort of like turning around in some confusion, trying to protect his bags and not really. So yeah, but Natalia with that role, you kind of save the day and get all the kids away. Like they're afraid. You can tell you have scared them. And none of them dares come closer at this point.
We're gonna have to be deloused for sure.
And a man steps forward and laughs and says in English, "You know how to handle these kids."
Natalia just nods, slightly exasperated. I've dealt with little troublemakers for most of my life.
You have been to Egypt before.
She shakes her head. No, first time. You are.
Hmm?
She gives that one. She says, no. And you are.
Oh. He puts his hand to his forehead and touches it lightly and bends down in a bow in a sweeping motion and says, Ibi Musa, dragoman of Cairo. If I may say, I am perhaps the most revered and honored dragoman in the city.
Is that by others' words or just your own?
I am sorry, say again.
Is that by others' words or just your own?
Oh, I would never presume to grant myself such honors. They are earned. Please allow me to earn it for you now.
She looks back at Shelley and Thaddeus for their opinions.
Well, Thaddeus is already thinking that everybody already knows where they're at if they're anything, so he's just gonna nod.
He motions, says, come, come, come. I arrange transport. You're going to Cairo, yes.
Yes, we are going to the Shepherd Hotel.
He says, yes, very good, very good. I know this hotel well. He looks around and he says, that is why Said is not a place for Westerners right now, especially. Come, come. And he directs you through the crowd, and there are little I forget what they're called, but they're like bicycles with almost carriage seats on the back, attached, and he motions you into two of those, and he says something quick in Arabic to the two drivers. Shelley, you can try to understand what he's saying if you'd like.
Yeah, I mean, she's definitely going to be practicing and seeing.
Yeah. You should.
I have to roll up.
I think you should have it added now.
Oh.
Yes, you do.
Whoa!
What?
Wow, nice, and you can check it off. You've learned.
Ooh, this guy's Arabic is just really crisp.
He does speak well, and what he's saying is, you will take us to the Hotel Shepherd in Cairo quickly, and you will be well paid.
Shelley, for the first time, looks kind of like excited and happy and like leans over to the other two and says, I understood that.
Well, what'd he say?
He told the man to take us to the Shepherd's Hotel in Cairo and that he'd be well compensated.
Ah, yes, much better than death.
And when you say it, you see he's now turned back to you, Shelley, and he's looking at you and curiously, and he says something else in a stream of Arabic that it's just too fast, you can't follow.
Yeah. She just blushes and, kind of waves her hand in a negating sort of gesture and says, no, slow, slow only, using whatever broken words she...
So he just gets he just smiles and motions you into the seats and starts piling your luggage onto the backs of these things, and you can you're watching, you can see these skinny guys that are gonna cycle for you. You're imagining how hard they're gonna have to work. It's not a super close distance from here to Cairo. But he sits back and says, "No, we enjoyed the ride." And of course, he sits with Thaddeus.
Rickshaw. I knew. I
Yes.
finally thought of it.
That's correct. Yes. So, and they start going through the streets, and eventually you leave the port behind, and are riding along a dirt road that runs parallel to the Nile, and you can see Cairo in the distance.
Yeah, as they're traveling, and especially as they take off from the port area, Shelley starts looking around, kind of taking surreptitious glances behind them to see if she notices anyone, running off. Anything that seems just suspicious. I mean, it's a big crowd. It would be hard to know.
Right. You go ahead and try a spot hidden. All looks right to you.
As they're kind of going in the rickshaw, she calls over. Sorry, what's his name again?
Oh, he. I'll put it up.
Thank you.
Ibn Musa.
She kind of calls over. Mr. Musa, you said this place is not safe for Westerners. Why is that?
He says, "You must read the local papers." He said, "The British are not much loved here right now."
She lets out a little bit of a laugh at that. Well, apparently you are much loved in Britain, or at least your culture is.
Phew. They love to take from us, yes. I don't know that they love the culture. They certainly love to boss us around.
It seems so. So you say you're the best. What was it again?
A dragoman.
Dragoman. Have you had any? Since you're the best, I assume you've had quite a few clientele.
Very many, very many. Mostly British. You are not British.
Any
can see
other
this.
Americans?
Not many Americans, no.
Would you remember the names if you had anyone who was?
Perhaps. I have a good memory, and he taps his head.
Well, there's someone who I'm a family friend of. Unfortunately, not really around much longer. Just trying to think for a second. Trying to think back to the name. Like, I'm just looking.
Who are you trying to remember?
Oh gosh. Starts with a C. The guy who died coming here.
Carlisle?
Is it Carlisle? Yeah, Carlisle.
Roger Carlisle?
Yeah. Mentioned Roger Carlisle.
I do not know this man. Many apologies.
Can I make a psychology check?
Sure. Let's see. Your sense is you sense some uncertainty on his part as to how he should answer that.
She just stares at him for a moment before. It is fine if you don't know him. It has been quite a number of years since he's come.
He says, "I would love to help you, but
That is fine. So is your job only to escort us to the hotel, or do you have other functions?
oh, Do I have other functions? I can show you everywhere. Everywhere that is good to go.
Is
I know the
Is-
city like this, and he holds up the back of his hand and literally holds it out to you.
is Gazira Mohammedan a neighborhood in Cairo?
Which is this?
It's off of the letter from Omar al-Shakti. It says Omar al-Shakti and underneath Gazira Muhammad, and then it says Cairo.
Hmm.
Oh, she doesn't show him that, so I was responding to Darren. Is that
Right.
what he says?
Yeah, oh, that's what he says, yeah. He's saying the name of the street?
It's a street?
I thought that was what you were saying.
I had a friend who recommended a shop, and the only thing that they mentioned was it's near Gazira Muhammad, and I didn't know if that was a neighborhood or
Ah,
a
yes,
street.
yes, yes. Yes. I know this place. I can show you when we get there, but you will want to get settled, will you not?
Of course. Need some time to unpack our things.
He says he says to Thaddeus, you will like this hotel. Very, very nice.
Yes, I'm sure it'd be a lot better than a boat.
He looks you up and down. He says, I can see you are a man of wealth and taste.
Yes. I'd like to assume that I do have good taste, but I've been told different many times.
Ha! Do not listen to them, then. They do not know what they're talking about.
Well, I'm glad somebody agrees with me. You kind of smile.
He says, so, what brings you to my lovely country?
Oh, we're just here to tour. We got lots of history to look at here.
You are adventurous.
Yes. I've been in many different countries. This one is quite new to me. Got fascinated over on our stop in Britain, and they have a lot of artifacts that no doubtedly have been removed from here, but
Yes. You have seen our stolen treasures.
yes, it's unfortunate, but at the same time, maybe a necessity. You know, the more people see it, the more people want to study it, and the more we can learn about it, right?
He looks at you like he's trying to read you a little bit, but says nothing.
I, for one, prefer to see these artifacts in their natural and original habitat.
He says, well, there are fewer and fewer of those every day.
Yes, thus our, that's why we're here. Who knows, in 5 to 10 years, she shrugs. It's a shame, really.
Well, I do suppose that you know of a lot of historical sites.
Of course, all of the best ones. Is there anyone that interests you, or would you like me to perhaps make an itinerary for you?
Yes, I mean, there's so many, we didn't even know where to start.
Oh, well, very nearby is Giza from Cairo. This is a very short trip.
Yes, I'm sure those are grand. Now tell me, do you know of any exploited sites, such as stuff that many people haven't looked at?
Well, there are pyramids that have and sites that have not been excavated, but in those places there is not much to see beyond the structure itself.
Yes, I understand.
Did we have something in our notes about 3 pyramids?
Yes, I believe. And by the way, Cairo's about 100 miles away from Port Said. These guys are going to have to take you to a train for the last part of this.
And going through our notes now just to see where exactly we should go. Most of it's just pointing to Kenya.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Oh, I'm looking through our notes to see if there's anything else, but most of the stuff that I remember was really detailing Kenya.
Oh, yeah, I do remember there was something about 3 pyramids in our notes somewhere. Or someone had mentioned it at some point. Alice, or yeah, it was Alice.
Oh, shoot. Of course, it was Alice.
Uh-huh.
Damn it.
Indeed.
Shelley will ask Evie, since she's just kind of straining her brain, trying to remember. A friend of ours mentioned, and I don't think she was talking about Giza, 3 pyramids. Is there a new excavation or something that people refer to in that way?
Of 3 pyramids together.
Yes.
There is Dashur. In English, these are called the bent pyramid, the red pyramid, and then there is the pyramid of, and I'm forgetting. Akhmenehat.
What does Akhmenehat mean?
It is the name of Pharaoh.
Does he go by other names, perhaps?
There are others. Yeah, hold on a second. I can look that up for you. I don't remember off the top of my head. Just too much to remember all at once, I'm afraid. Ugh, annoying. It's too much information here. Yes, there is, but I forget what it is. Oh, here we go. The red pyramid, the bent pyramid, and the final one. Again, stupid. Oh, and then there's a Snepheros. The collapsed pyramid of Maedum.
That's weird. Interesting.
How far are those from Cairo?
Oh, they are only perhaps 40 kilometers.
Shelley just gives the others a, kind of a raised eyebrow look.
Since you're familiar with the area, um, are you familiar with a particular vessel called the Font of Life?
The font of life.
The
What is this supposed to be?
It is some sort of ship.
Inside?
I think it is. It might be from Cairo. I'm not sure exactly where it was embarked from.
I can ask for you when we arrive.
That would be much appreciated.
This is what I do. And he kind of crosses his chest and bows.
As you say, you're the best.
He smiles. He has most of his teeth.
And so he gives him a very small smile back.
Is there a place of learning in Cairo
Oh, yes.
to discuss the wonders that are here, the excavated pyramids, things that have been found?
Oh, but of course, yes. There is the museum of the city. You will want to go there, for certain, if you are interested in these things. And of course, there is much learning to be had in the many mosques in the city.
Yes. Is the museum run by white men or by natives of Egypt?
It is run by the natives,
Oh,
the
that's
true Egyptians, yes.
sometimes back home when we were told things, it felt like half of it was just made up.
He says, you are not a friend of the English, then.
Quite frankly, I was none too unhappy to leave England behind. It's, I didn't care for it.
The British call us their friends. But as we say here, may Allah protect me from my friends. My enemies I can handle.
At least they're open about it, yes?
They claim to protect us, but they are more interested in plundering our treasures.
Well, that doesn't surprise me in the least.
They want our canal, and they have it. But many of us think not for long.
I would say with all the justified dislike for the British, just to be aware at least, not that we're going to be leaving anytime soon. In regards to things going on, has there been any increasings in violence or anything of the sort?
Indeed, there has.
Anything that might stick out to you? Something almost monthly.
There have been Britishers attacked in the streets. Soldiers mostly. But still, you will be well to stick with me close by your side.
We'll make sure not to venture far.
Good, good.
Yes,
It
I don't want
would
to
be a shame to see you harmed, and you have only just arrived.
Yes, we don't want to get embroiled in the ruckus.
No, I'd rather not have to resort to any sort of violence.
He looks at you with with a somewhat bemused look when you say that.
Speaking of violence, you didn't mention anything, so I am assuming that all of our weapons went through the port without being confiscated.
There wasn't even, yeah. There are, oh, I'm sorry, you are handed something when you arrive in port. I forgot to give you that. Let me do that now. It's just a flyer. And there is a cursory check of your luggage when you arrived, but it was very brief. And they didn't seem overly concerned with your weapons. You notice that it's British authorities who go through your things. You notice that because it's almost certainly because you're white, they pay little attention to you. It's when they see your papers, they don't bother too much. They seem much more concerned with, Arabic people and other Mediterranean people coming in. They don't seem to expect any trouble from you.
Shelley kind of finishes reading through the paper that they were handed in port. She hadn't really done more than glance at it at the time. Who is this Lord Allenby?
He is governor here.
I assume you're not very impressed.
He is British.
That makes sense.
Al Azhar University. Has that been overwhelmed by the British as well, or can you still get real learning there?
He smiles at your phrasing. He says the British have little influence over our education. There are British schools, but they only let the children of the very rich and influential into their schools. The rest of us learn traditionally.
If we wanted to speak to someone who really knew, was a man of Cairo and is familiar with the history of the pharaohs and the pyramids and the wonders here, is there anyone that you would particularly recommend? Even if we had to get a translator.
Let me think. There must be Dr. Ali Kafur. He is a scholar at the museum. You will want to talk to him, I think.
She makes a note of that and smiles. Thank you very much. We'll be sure to do that.
He gives you a smile again, and he says, "We are approaching the train." And you don't see a train, but you do see a track, and you see a little waiting platform with an awning overhead. It looks hot and a little desolate here.
Oh, my. I'm gonna need to shed some layers here somehow, Joan says, fanning herself.
He says, "Do not shed too many. It is a common misunderstanding of you Westerners, that you think if you peel your clothes away, you will be safer. You must keep them covered."
Oh,
The sun will eat you if you do not.
well, I do burn easily.
We might need to get some lightweight clothes. Maybe go to a marketplace.
Oh, there are bazaars aplenty in Cairo, and I will take you to all the best ones.
That would be wonderful.
Yes, yes, could definitely do something that breathes a little more.
Besides suits?
Well, I'm sure they have something of equivalency.
Of course. Maybe not go to black.
He says, you can buy suits. There are British tailors in the city, but if you are looking for more traditional garb, this is easily done.
Well, I'm assuming that the suits themselves would be kind of miserable, like my own right now, but I guess I could decide on that later.
He said, the British prefer to suffer in their suits.
Suffer indeed, as he wipes his brow.
And so he leads you to the platform where you will sit and wait. And wait. He tells you, he pulls out an old beaten pocket watch and tells you that the train should be here in a couple of hours, but it often runs late.
Oh goodness, we're to be waiting here for a couple of hours.
He looks at you and says, yes.
She looks around. Is there anything that looks like a cafe or anything
Oh no.
by the platform?
No.
This is
There's a well.
Well, in that case, she will just sit down on her trunk and
Oh, there is a bench under this awning. You can sit. It's a little weather beaten, but you can sit on it. I'd say wind whipped. He offers to get you some water, all of you, if you're thirsty, and there is a slightly rusty pail. He brings it back, and if you drink of it, you definitely taste the metallic flavor in the water.
you know, when in Cairo or wherever we are.
Yeah. He looks up and kind of shades his eyes, and then sits down. He apparently doesn't see anything. And you wait for an hour. The train still hasn't come. And he looks again. And he just smiles and sits down again.
And Shelley will alternate between note-taking, pulling out little pieces of project to work on, and making just idle conversation. She'll ask him about his family.
Mm-hmm. He starts telling you about all his cousins. He apparently his parents are no longer living. He says he has a do-nothing brother that actually lives in Cyprus, and he says he has no wife.
Oh, well, that surprises me, she says. The number one dragoman without a drago woman? And she says this with a little archness, like, yeah, it's a joke.
He says, I am too busy to take a wife. He says, there's, he says, I have much responsibility.
I'm sure this is so, but someday you will want someone to take care of you.
There, he says, so far Allah has taken care of me.
Sometimes that's all you need.
Yes, this is true.
Yes. So he regales you with tales of his his extended family. I mean, he has quite a number of cousins and uncles and aunts, and he tells you about them in a dizzying stream of anecdotes. He's a very colorful fellow. You suspect given a little bit to exaggeration.
Sure. She'll stop him every once in a while and ask him how to pronounce something, a word that she thinks she'll be using. She's been learning from a book, so it's hard to know exactly how it sounds,
Yes. He seems a little charmed that you're actually interested in learning his language and that you know a little bit of it. So, yes, he passes the time with you, teaching you some Arabic proverbs as a way of practicing. And interestingly, the first one he teaches you is a wise woman is one who has a great deal to say yet remains silent. And he kind of smiles as he says that one and helps you to recite it back, assuming you do.
Yeah, she does, and she, just smiles back at him. So you picked this one completely at random, I'm sure. No reason for teaching me this one.
He says it is a very common saying in my country.
Oh, I've heard similar things in mine. It seems that men in every country at times get tired of being harangued by their women.
Yes. Well, he says we here in the desert have learned the value of silence. And he teaches you another couple ones. If I listen, I have the advantage. If I speak, others have it. And another, into a closed mouth, no fly can enter.
Well, I'm starting to sense a pattern here.
Since you seem to like this, he gives you yet one more, and then the train starts to arrive. Hearts are depositories of secrets, lips are their locks, and tongues are their keys.
After he tells her this, at first she thought it was just funny jokes. But she starts to get a thoughtful expression and kind of gives him cocks her head to one side and just kind of looks at him. And she just kind of nods. There is great wisdom, I think, in these. I will both practice my pronunciation and ponder the meaning.
He says, we of the desert have a lot of time to ponder. And he rises the train, and there you can see a little plume of smoke in the distance, hazy and distorted by the heat. And eventually you can make out a wavy, dark shape coming towards you, not terribly quickly, making its way along the track, and then it kind of coalesces, sharpens into the shape of an engine, and you can see the train come. And it pulls in, and stops. This is the end of this little line here, and stops. There's a few people that get out, and then he ushers you on board, and then the train goes backwards to Cairo.
And he comes with us.
Yes. Oh, yes. Yes. He makes it pretty clear he's going to get you to Shepherd's.
The smell of money.
He's asked for none yet.
Yeah.
Yes, so he does get you to Cairo, and I'll show you the map of Cairo, and that's about where we're gonna end. And I'll leave it on this page in case you want to come in at any point before our next session and look it over. And you can see Shepherd's Hotel is, let's see. Shepherd's Hotel is here, and the train will be coming in here, so it's not very far of a distance. And it's in fact right across the street from the American consulate, if you had any interest in that.
Yes, at some point, for sure.
Okay. And so I would like to get a sense, because I'm not really sure what your plans are. What do you think you're likely to want to look into or do, so that I have some idea and can be a little prepared for next time?
I think we're gonna go to that street that was, or that area that was mentioned in the letter for sure.
Okay.
Go
Go
ahead.
talk to that doctor, Dr. Ali Kafour.
At the museum, yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably. I'd like to, cause Carlisle was here. Try to look into that more, like maybe go to the library or something and see if there's newspaper clippings or anything. I'm also probably going to go over the notes that we have already to plan out a trajectory.
Okay.
I'm sure at one point we'll hit the bazaar for one thing or
Oh,
another.
yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense.
And I'm sure that we need to do some research first, perhaps with this doctor, but I do think we're going to end up going to Dashur at some point, the 3 pyramids.
Mm-hmm. Well, since we're here, we could maybe read more into the Black Pharaoh, but it'd be difficult.
When they do get off the train, probably it's too tight, close quarters and on while they're on there, but Shelley will try to tell them, I got this feeling when I was talking to Mr. Musa that he was almost trying to warn me or us.
About?
Well, I was having him teach me some more Arabic, and he kept teaching me these proverbs, and all of them had to do with staying silent and keeping quiet and keeping secrets.
Natalia grunts a bit at that and looks slightly unimpressed. Well, they are more oppressive with the women than the Americans are.
It's true. But he didn't seem the sort to make, that sort of petty comment, but maybe it was just a warning about how you and I might be perceived here.
I always usually assume that they want to keep us quiet. Usually men aren't a large fan of women talking. Unlike that is.
Yes, very much unlike me.
Listen to us all the time. And it's very much appreciated.
He's gonna chuckle.
I mean, who else are we going to talk to?
Yes, it's true. This is true.
You drink enough to handle us, so it's fine. I should pat him on the back very lightly.
Oh, I wonder if they have whiskey in Egypt.
I
What
hope
if
so.
they didn't?
Well, that could present a problem.
Don't Muslims abstain?
It's British.
Yes, this is a British protectorate.
We'll stock up. I think we drank most of the alcohol on the way here, right, Thaddeus?
Well, there was plenty of that on the train, but once you got to Constantinople, it became a much more difficult prospect, since you really didn't know your way around there.
I didn't have to dip too much into my personal stash, so there's still a little bit left at least.
Well, the American consulate is. Perhaps someone there would be so kind as to provide to a fellow countryman.
Yes, I'll go visit for a bottle at a time.
Maybe two.
One for the road. Yeah, he's gonna wipe his brow. Obviously, it's a little warm.
All right. Well, we will stop there and continue in our next session, which is in, I think, a couple of weeks.